originally on Natter.
A show for young people,
about young people in Nottingham.
We are your hosts, Freya,
Joe
and George.
And we have got plenty of engrossing content for you today.
From music to fashion, comedy and local affairs, there is certainly something for everyone.
But firstly, we're going to follow Freya on her journey through Nottingham with our infamous correspondent, Rashina Whopper, exploring the light and dark sides of our city.
You join me here on this glorious day as history is all around us. I'm on my way to Nottingham Castle, which is the only castle in Nottingham, making it the most famous castle in Nottingham, the future castle of Nottingham. Just to reiterate, this is where we are.
Don't film this bit, it's crap. I'm just having a wee.
On our way to the magnificent castle, we come across landmarks such as this beautiful nightclub, which is the heart and soul of Nottingham's nightlife. The walls inside hold dirty secrets, quite literally. The carpet even tested positive for chlamydia. Here at the bottom of Castle Road.
Freya, we've been through this. Get some more sleep.
Here at the bottom of Castle Road, we have England's oldest inn, which was built in the 12th century. It is now a popular hotspot for staff. There's bits of rock falling on my head. Hurry up then. You join me here at the cliffside of the castle, where there are mysterious doorways, and brickwork, and rock that is thousands of years old. This bit's plastic. Yeah, that's good. You know what? She's ready. Yeah, don't move, Freya. Historical context still provides for homeless people today. This doorway, for example, is big enough to fit more than one homeless person in it. Finally, the castle. Look at the sign.
We should have probably told you this down there, but it's shut.
What for lunch? What time do they reopen?
It's permanent.
What?
Mary, don't be nervous. And welcome to the backbiting brains of Britain with me, Rashina. Now today we are joined by a very special guest. Meet Mary. Now Mary used to work at Nottingham Castle. What a fantastic job. And we're going to find out more about it. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you.
So, tell us about your role within the castle walls.
Well, really, I didn't do much. I just swept.
I should imagine that there's a lot of floors to sweep.
Basically, spent my whole days on the castle, you know, worked long hours.
Sweeping.
Just sweeping, just cleaning everything, really. It had to be perfect.
Yeah. So. I should imagine. So, how many other maids were there?
There wasn't many of us. There was probably about 5 of us all together.
Right.
So
and did you all wear the same attire?
we did, yeah.
We had
your
to.
footwear.
for example?
So these are new, but we did all have to wear them. So these are a new colour.
Okay.
But also we had to pay for them. So yeah, out of our small wage that we got. So yeah.
Can I ask, did you have to pay for your own food or did you get the leftovers?
Well, we got some not good leftovers. The slops. But we'd have to pay for what you'd call good food.
Like a loaf of bread?
Like a loaf of bread, yes.
I should imagine that you were hungry a lot of the time.
A lot. And, you know, they didn't give us a lot of time to eat, really. It was just clean, so...
Now, Mary, tell us about your sleeping quarters.
Well, again, not the greatest. You know, we had like bunk beds on top of each other. They were metal. And then just a thin sheet to go over us with one pillow. Not the best.
And how many people did you have to share your sleeping quarters with?
So all the maids shared one together. So there were 5 of us in the room, which wasn't the best.
Did you get
Very
along
cramped.
with all of them?
Well,
or?
I felt okay with all of them, but a few of them weren't the best with each other. So there were a few squabbles.
Oh no.
Yeah, which made it just not the best to be in there. It was quite an awkward atmosphere and just, yeah.
Now for your final question before we have to go and you must return to your work.
Yeah.
Is it true that a maid once fell from the cliff edge?
I can't say. We've been told not to speak of that.
I understand.
Thank you.
Mary, thank you very much for joining us
Thank
today.
you for having me. It's been lovely.
Luckily, Freya made it safely back. But what a journey that was.
Yes, but it was also a waste of one.
Now, being modelled perfectly by Jo, retro fashion is certainly making its way back into trend.
Quite clearly an expert on the subject, we sent Jo onto the streets to find others who share his dress sense.
Ah, the 90s, famous for ecstasy, bad comedies and fashion. Modern day, this era of fashion is still as popular as ever, no less in Nottingham. From Rollick to Cow, vintage clothes shops have boomed in the city, and for good reason. The emergence of vintage clothing in popular culture, things and sex education basing their aesthetic on 90s fashion. Fast fashion finally has a competitor.
From wastewater polluting rivers and underpaid workers, fast fashion is a blight on the creative world, which hopefully vintage fashion can combat. To learn a bit more, we spoke to the public about this issue. Think about like the sudden uprising of a lot of vintage shops and kind of getting more, widespread, like people preferring to buy from somewhere like Cow or Wild rather than Primark or something like that.
I think it's better because obviously it's a lot less stuff in the landfill and
it's just beats you down. So realistically, we're doing average above average. Yeah, I just get told, no, it's just not good. But, like the countless women Stanley has encountered, we weren't satisfied. So we travelled to the much better city of Derby to speak to Danny, a vintage reseller for 8 years, who owns Threads. Do you think there has been a rise in people wanting to like wear like vintage clothes?
I feel like people have been like, they like the look, they know it's cool to see it, although it's everywhere, isn't it? It's in all this, it's on the adverts, everything. You can see that people are wearing pre-owned clothes open, you know, and I feel like people have been like trying to like dress that way from high street stores. It doesn't really work. If you're going to do it, you have to do it authentically. You
know, like when Boohoo or Primark try and remake like something that seems vintage, do you think that's kind of taken away from like to me, it's frustrating that I don't like putting down, I'm not one of them that's like, I am all about sustainability and I hate high street shops, not gonna lie. It's the opposite of what I do. It's like I'm trying to provide like pre-owned fashion, like on-trend fashion, but stuff that's been worn is in the system already and it's gonna stay, you know, just it's like my little form of recycling and stuff, so so yeah, I don't agree with the Boohoos and this, that, the other, and like, yeah, they're good at like mimicking to what's on trend and creating it as fast as they can, as cheaply as possible and all that, but it's like, whereas you've got to think more into, you've got to be more intelligent, where has it come from, what's the cost of this? Who's in a sweatshop in India, getting paid £3 now. I think the quality is better of something that...
Definitely. It's already been washed many times, stood the test of time and things, and there's the quality, thickness of things and like, isn't the same as it was, and zips aren't put in the same, do you know what I mean? Everything, like, down to the way it was stitched, like, it was better back then. You've got to pay massive, like, for that quality now, the price will be.
For real.
You see it becoming I've had to do it with the shop. It's like, it's a weird one because like I'm on Sandgate, so if I have a shop full of low like value items, people come in and scoff at them and say it's like, so I have to have some like good pre-owned stuff as well to keep everybody interested in stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I know it seems that the people like the shops getting posh and more expensive. It's not. I'm just getting more select pieces for the select crowd because everyone's into fashion on different levels, aren't they?
For real.
Eating sleep trainers, other people's, do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's dependent. I'm trying to cater for everybody. So that's why I've got more expensive bits in, and obviously the rent's expensive down here, so that's the reason I've done it. But like if it's down to me, I do want to give the fashion away as cheap as I can, and obviously I want to go below Depop price and stuff. There's no point in me really. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think that's damaging like what you do a little bit?
I've got more bugs to bear with resellers. Resellers have changed like the game, not just in the trainer game, either in the vintage world as well. Because you've got people that haven't even got like shops and they're making more money than I am because it's in a storage unit and they're banging it straight out online on a website, and they're better with the social media and stuff. But I just want, to me, it's the experience of being able to go in, have the whole experience like going down memory lane, like what I'm trying to do here, and feel the textures, try stuff on, look at the fit in the mirror. You can't get all that when you're ordering something Depop, and 9 times out of 10 you're disappointed. Do you know what I mean? So like at least when you leave the door here, you're happy with your purchase. I like things.
That fashion, you know, like when I come in and find like cool trousers from the 90s, do you think people like me would be wearing stuff that you thought was just normal back in the 90s?
It depends, because I'd probably thought it was cool myself then, but other people might not have thought it was cool, because like, in truth, if like, at school back in the day, like, when everyone was wearing Drain Park jeans, if you were the one in boot cuts, you were getting bullied. Like, nah, the bigger the flare, the better. You know, so it's just things, swings and roundabouts. It's normally the case of what's cool then will be cool now, but it can be what wasn't cool then comes around again and it is cool now. So that's the interesting part about it, because some brands that you think will come back don't, and then others that you don't expect to have a massive, like New Balance have smashed it over the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely.
Come back, you know,
Cheers, Danny, for that insight into vintage fashion. And although we've come to the end of our vintage fashion journey, we'd like to hear your thoughts. Do you think it will catch on? Will it stay on? Or will it become another fashion trend left for dead? We'd love to know. See you later from me, Jay.
Just what is it that you want to do?
So it's not just Joe that dresses like a dad.
All right, Mr. Matalan.
Next we'll hand over to George, who has been exploring the journey that young artists take as they try to make a name for themselves.
Nottingham is famous for its musical talent. From the likes of Brucey, Lad Baby and Jake Bugg, the city certainly has its fair share of musical fame. But what about the next generation? Well, with platforms like TikTok and Spotify and institutions like BBC introducing, there is more ways than ever to become famous. But that of course means that the market is crowded. So how do the best become famous? Well, I, alongside Yasmin Smeet, spoke to two young artists from the city to get their view on the routes to fame. Charlotte Moon is an aspiring singer-songwriter from the Nottingham area who has wrote nearly 100 original songs.
Now we're here with Fade Too Cold, a rapper from Bulwell who's performed at venues like Metronome and Rough Trade. Fade's here to tell us about his music and the journey that brought him here.
She's about to release her first single and it's a pleasure to talk to you today, Charlotte. So firstly, what successes have you had already in your musical career?
I'd say gigs is my biggest success at the moment. Still getting gigs, whatever it is now, is still exciting. It's good to get in the first one.
And when did you start producing your own rap content?
I started in secondary school, just in normal music lessons, and then when COVID came, I made a studio in my bedroom. So I was just doing it all day since.
And what ways do you produce your music now?
Literally just from my bedroom, or I'll just go to studio sometimes. If I really want to, then I'll just go out there, make something, but mainly it's just in my bedroom, just whatever feels right.
And the rap scene's more crowded than ever, so how do you make sure that you stand out in that crowded market from the others?
I'm just built different. I know what I'm doing. When a lot of people, they're new to this. I've been doing this for a couple years now, so it's I know the levels that need to be set and I know how to get it right.
That's hard. I think you've got to know your target audience, and then you've got to know who you're like, other artists that you're similar to, and what sort of things that your target audience likes, and basically copy people to stand out, if that makes sense.
I feel like I'm a mix of a lot of different people depending on what I do. So if I'm storytelling, I might take parts from Cadet or Dave, but then other times I might take stuff from J Horse, Chip, Gets. It just depends on really what I'm doing.
Yeah, and we've got your Have No Regrets behind us here. Can you tell us what that's about?
That's just my little brand that I've started recently. It's a thing of making a little, not label, but a collective in Nottingham where it's have no regrets. This is our thing. You shouldn't be scared to push out what you love to do. So that's the meaning behind it.
And I was a big fan of Mazzy Star. And I thought that was just a really cool name. So I just thought, what's the opposite of star? There you go, that's it. But I thought it was quite fitting.
So obviously you've got Mazzy Star as your role models. Have you got any other people that you base your music and your presentation on?
Yeah, a lot of my inspiration comes from Fleetwood Mac and Florence and the Machine, that kind of drifty kind of music.
Yeah.
What are your career aspirations and how do you plan to get there?
I just want to get to the top point that I can. So there's no limit for me. Whatever it is, I'll do it. So if that's to be the best artist, I'll do that. Best producer, I'll do that. Have a record label, be a manager, I can do that as well. So it's whatever it takes to get to the top, I'm trying to be there.
I'm just going to wing it. I'm just going to wing it. See what happens. Gig as much as I can, release as much as I can, support as many people as I can.
Yeah, and you've got a song coming out now. What can you tell us about that?
So I'm going to release a song I wrote called Winter, which you will or have heard. And it's about that certain season when everyone starts to realise they want to be with someone because it's cold. And then you think about past relationships in the winter, and it's all sort of about that feeling.
And I'm delighted to say that joining us in the studio performing her song Smokers, it's Charlotte Moon.
I see you from over there, making eyes constant stares. You'll never stand with the smokers, but they're all my friends. can see you talking. I'm having trouble walking. Drink in my hand doesn't last very long, but it's something to hold. Ooh, it's something that I like. Ooh, something I want back. Mates at the bar always ask you how far you'll go. I haven't smoked since the last time I saw you stole. You said not to go home. I can tell you mean it. My mind can be so mean, babe. You'll never say what I want you to say, but I hope we stay the same. Ooh, it's something that I like. Ooh, something I want back. Mates at the bar always ask you how far you'll go. I haven't smoked since the last time I saw you stole. You said not to go home. I went home, cried all alone. Mates at the bar, they ask you how far you'll go. I haven't smoked since the last time I saw you stole. Said not to go home. I see you from over there, making eyes constant stares.
Wow, wasn't she brilliant?
Indeed she was. Well, while Charlotte is chasing the dream from scratch, there are some people that have a head start, a massive advantage on regular folk like her.
These people are called Nepo babies, and it's something that I explored alongside entertainments editor Kitty Smith.
Hello everyone and welcome to What's Hot.
On this segment, we tell you what's been happening online. Well, at least the stuff that's noteworthy.
Nepo babies, does that mean anything to you? Well, me neither. Until Kate Moss's less relevant half-sister piped up.
In a tweet, Lottie Moss lets rip on people blaming nepotism for why they aren't rich or famous.
She goes on to fume. Life isn't fair. If you put your mind to something, you can accomplish anything.
Yes, Lottie, you're absolutely correct. A child living on the breadline in rural Kazakhstan is just as likely to become a superstar as a sibling of possibly the most famous model of all time.
Jokes aside, this has raised a strong question about how those at the top of the pyramid view those further down, but trust the internet to make sure the model knew that.
Thousands of TikToks and tweets poured over the internet discrediting the opinion Lottie Moss had decided to take.
Here are a few of the best TikToks we found. After all, if you put yourself on the internet, you need to prepare for backlash.
So Kate Moss's sister's all up in arms about this nepotism article. She is upset about the discussion of nepotism in Hollywood because she is a nepo baby herself. And when I tell you, Twitter flamed this girl's ass so hard. for saying life isn't fair. If you put your mind to something, you can accomplish anything. So instead of being negative about other people's success, create your own. That she had to come out with a statement that was like acknowledging her privilege because she's related to Kate Moss. Now, I've never freaking heard of this person in my entire life. But since the dawn of time, people have been curious. They have been interested in psychology, and they have tried to find a pattern and meaning out of what is going on in the world. You can't get mad at people because they talk about a pattern that they see because you are involved, because they come to their own conclusion and find it negatively impacts their chances of getting into your industry.
The model deleted her tweet rather quickly, no surprise, but the internet won't let her forget.
What do you think about the subject? Do you feel as if people born into wealth and fame are in the same position as everyone else?
Or do you believe Nepo babies have a head start? Wow, wasn't that thrilling?
Now, being from Nottingham comes with a certain label, doesn't it, George?
Well, I'm glad you've said that, Freya. Well, Nottingham is well known for its violent crime, and it's linked with the very affectionate term, Shottingham. But even in areas where crime is at its highest, there is certainly more good than bad happening in our local communities. So we sent local affairs correspondent Bailey Lane to St Anne's to explore the good side.
Yeah, I've been working for Star at St Anne's Allotments for about 8 years, but I've actually been involved here for about 15 years. I started here as a volunteer myself and found the place so magical I've stayed involved ever since. St Anne's is a really urban area, so this big green space that is next to the St Anne's area is a really valuable resource. As a small charity, we're based on here and we've got 4 different projects that are really about supporting the community, gardening and learning how to grow your own vegetables and horticulture, wildlife and nature, and also the heritage of the area. We're really interested in doing activities that cover all age ranges, and we start with a toddler group for families, and then we do a whole mix of school sessions, after school sessions and play sessions, right up to volunteerings for adults, community days for families, and also a place where people can come and be social. We're a small charity, so it's all about making sure that we've got projects that are funded and active and relevant to the local community. So we will be trying to make sure that we still carry on having a place where people can come and socialise, they can learn new skills, they can come and be here for their well-being, and they can also learn things like where their food comes from and be really experienced being outdoors in nature. We would just love to work with anybody that's from the local area and welcome you to come and spend time in our space.
What a wonderful report from Bailey there. Hopefully putting the bad stereotypes to bed for Nottingham.
Now back to George, who has got another wonderful singer to perform for us all.
After that wonderful performance from Charlotte earlier, I'm delighted to say we're now joined by Fade Too Cold to perform his new single, Still.
Look, stepping up party, sweet ones army. I didn't know we were speaking. Bridge got burnt from way back when. Low, it's man that we're beefing. How many guys love chat about realness, but the same guys won't keep it. I can't deal with the chatting up. Yo. Stepping up party, sweet ones army. I didn't know we were speaking still. The bridge got burnt from way back when. Low, it's man that we're beefing still. How many guys love chat about realness, but the same guys won't keep it real. I can't deal with the chat on the social. It's all good, come on, GG will. Stepping up party, sweet ones army. I didn't know we were speaking still. Bridge got burnt from way back when. Low, it's man that we're beefing still. How many guys love chat about realness, but the same guys won't keep it real. I can't deal with the chat on the social. It's all good, come on, GG. He was talking mad on the socials. I made a phone call and got it sorted quickly. He was on top this time last year. Then he fell off, what a mystery. Big man on the net and they're beefing pitneys. Then his career turned history, miss me. I'm an anti-social kid, yeah, I don't wanna talk like, look, my name ain't diss me like 50 Cent, but I got more bars than 50 men. Talk on my name like I ain't been out here. Been on this thing since 3+10. A1, J1, back still sprayed ons. I don't really follow the latest trend. Stepping up party, chocolate Barbie said she noticed my face from end. She said I got the baiter's face. Babes, I ain't tryna play no games. I'm way too shook of a girl tryna line me up, cause I ball like Lakers plays. In a motive, bad ones yakking it up, leaning like the tune from Wayne's. I got paper plans in my mind, stop wasting my time cause I wanna make change. Waste my time and I ruin your day. Might get reach out like my high risk mates. Shout SK, bust that case, done that base, not man on the mains. You saw Jakes and he dip with pace, but he tripped no way, better tie up your lace. None on the block for the bars that spray. Know my name and I hide your state. Step in the party, sweet ones on me. I didn't know we were speaking still. Bridge got burnt from way back when. Low, it's man we're beefing still. How many guys love chat about realness, but the same guys won't keep it real. I can't deal with the chat on the social. It's so good, my GD will. Step in the party, sweet ones on me. I didn't know we were speaking still. Bridge got burnt from way back when. Low, it's man we're beefing still. How many guys love chat about realness, but the same guys won't keep it real. I can't deal with the chat on the. Yo, 18 years old and the best my age. Better talk to me nice when you mention my name. Fade too cold, but I step with a flame. Don't even know I brought smoke to the stage. Guys try to draw me out on the maze, but I wasn't phased. Now I'm still getting paid. I'm cooking these bangers, you know what they say. Better the chef, better the taste. Blacker the berry, sweeter the juice. I got a legacy deep in my roots. Shorty said I got a memorable face. Probably cause she see me on the news. And plenty of man try beefing me on tunes. But I'm in my bang, got nothing to prove. So many man ain't got nothing to do. So they chill in the yard and they pop on balloons. F2C, GOAT, spin any beats like DVDs. Man's on the rise like BTC, bare PvP if you're beefing me. Bro, found out where the pagans stay. Jumped on the back of the PED. Karma's quick when it comes to the get backs. Raw definition of GBG. Bad one, she wants the BB. She heard man's voice in a BBC. Q, you can be G's with me, but no way you get a piece of me. This year I need some peace of mind. Real talk, I need some TLC. I don't want no scrubs in my life. Why? Cause all of my G's are clean. Step in the party, sweet ones on me. Didn't know we were speaking still. Bridge got burnt from way back when. Low, man, we're beefing still. How many guys love chat about realness, but the same guys won't keep it real. I can't deal with the chat on the socials. So good, my GG will. Step in the party, sweet ones on me. I didn't know we were speaking still. Bridge got burnt from way back when. Low, it's mad that we're beefing still. How many guys love chat about realness, but the same guys won't keep it real. I can't deal with the chat on the socials. It's so good, my GG will. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Wow, what a great young talent from Nottingham.
We have crammed a lot in today, so I think that's all we have time for. Can you hear that?
Yeah,
Are you cutting off there?
Did you just say that right? Guys?
We interrupt this student broadcast to bring you an important announcement. All students are required to stay in their classrooms until further notice. Do not wander the hallways. Your teachers will... Until then, please enjoy this video.
One too many hushed whispers in your classroom? A tide of gormless faces indifferent to learning? Kick those whippersnappers back into shape with these easy steps. Untuck shirts as far as the eye can see. A tidy student is a focused student. Keep those uniforms neat and presentable. Who needs mirrors when you have your peers? Windsor knots, tucked in shirts, straight in trousers, and no jewellery. Stick to your designated seating arrangements. They have been painstakingly selected to maximise student efficiency. Follow your outline timetables and do not leave before the bell. And make sure to arrive on time. You don't get freebies in the real world. Should your fellow student fail to follow these steps, report them to the nearest authority figure. That was tiring. Reward yourself with a hearty snack. Protein is good for the muscles and keeps hungry students from becoming angry students. Take regular breaks. We know your studies are just as testing as the working man's labours. Stretch, jump, work out that back. Do not, under any circumstances, enter room 179. The staff need their breaks too. Distraction is a hard-working student's #1 enemy. If your neck is sore, eyes start to itch, or those are just signs you're working hard. Our time is almost up, friends.
When your tutor returns, stay seated and do not look it in the eyes.
Remember, it's down to you to keep the cool in school by following these simple instructions. Have fun out there.
Good luck. Please enjoy the rest of the broadcast.
And a special thanks to all our reporters. and to you at home watching.
Now, be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at neon_Nottingham. Oh, and Charlotte's back to play us out with a song that she'll be releasing very soon, Winter.
I'm starting to feel like I need you. All of these cold nights and sad eyes, wanted to be warming with you. Last year I told him that I loved him. Now I want nothing from him. It's cold now and I'm broke now, wondering how to get around. This silence is deadly. I'm waiting for the jury to decide how I'm gonna feel tonight. Trapped inside a battlefield, fighting with my wildest dreams tonight. How will I survive? Now that it's over, I'm starting to miss the way I told you. It's sad now 'cause I want you, but these days I don't even know you, darling. I bought a ticket out, can't seem to leave this town. It's winter and he didn't know how to make me laugh like you. This silence is deadly. I'm waiting for the jury to decide